All right. Hello. My name is Devin Stubblefield, and I'm with the Prosperity Agenda. Would like to welcome you to Coaching Up Close. This is our mini webinar series designed to work some quick tips into your busy schedule to help you to improve your coaching skills. But first, let me introduce the Prosperity Agenda. For those of you who don't know, TPA is a nonprofit that's working to end persistent poverty by focusing on changing the way we think about, build programs for, and coach families under financial stress. Coaching is, of course, a big part of our DNA, and we work with organizations all over the country on their coaching programs. But before we jump in, just want to say if you're joining us live, we'll be having a question and answer session at the end of this webinar. So save your questions for that time. Okay, so let's get this thing started. So today we're going to be talking about listening for values. You know, values reflect what's most important to the participants that you coach. And so we want to spend some time here today just talking about this and the importance of it and how it's really going to enhance the relationship and really create something very special for the people you're coaching. Now, when you listen for values, it helps you as the coach to determine how they make decisions, how they relate to their world. Because values, it comes from their culture, religion, spirituality, family, and their internal moral sense. So I call this being values informed. And when you're values informed, it allows you the opportunity to hold a space for them that allows them to express what's meaningful and important to them. And that's really key to developing great rapport, trust, and intimacy. Now, during the coaching, you're going to be listening for values and then help them to honor those values. You know, when you do that, you're really supporting them to have a better quality of life, have them to stay in alignment with who they are and to stay motivated even through some of the tough times. And so this is something that we would like for you to consider, to support your participants to honor their values as they proceed through your program. Again, this is very important to the coaching relationship, to the intimacy, to the trust. And so again, to support them, to honor their values as they proceed through your program. Now, let's clarify a little bit what values are. And the first thing I'm going to say is that they're intangible, okay? Persons and things are not values, but you may value something about a person or a thing. For example, a car is not a value, but you can love your car for convenience, security, and the mobility. And so those are the values, okay? Those three things, not necessarily the car itself, even though the car might be of great value in terms of, financial value, but it could be that in terms of the intrinsic value, the convenience, the security, the mobility, that's what we're talking about. So those are the intangibles there. And then values are not good and they're not bad. They're kind of neutral. And so no value is better than any other. And so sometimes participants fall into the trap of judging certain values, like what's right and wrong, good or bad, positive or negative. And so what we are suggesting that you do is during your conversations is to be intentional about raising their awareness and to avoid choosing values or things that others think that it should have. You know how sometimes people do. They say that they want to do this or they feel that way because they think that's what maybe you want to hear, or maybe they think that's what someone else wants them to do or to accomplish. But no, instead, let's encourage participants, as far as being in a very acceptance type of role and help them to keep ownership of their values and the things that are most meaningful for them. So as you can see, this is really, really important part of the coaching process. And I know that you already understand from a coaching perspective that you're listening deeply. You're asking powerful questions. You're gaining rapport. And you know what happens is when you're doing those things, you're going to come to know their values as you help them to become aware of them. Now, as they say things, as they make statements, as they're responding, these values are going to surface during the conversation. What I'm suggesting that you do is to call them out, acknowledge them when they do appear. Now, why are values so important? I know some of you are probably thinking that this is something that you already do, but we just want to call attention to it because when it comes down to motivation, it's really people's values that really keeps things going. During our coaching trainings, I often tell coaches that values can help a participant to stay on track, when things get tough. And you all know those days where the obstacles or barriers show up and the temptation to quit or to give up is present. When the participant's able to remember the values that they relate to the task or values that they're relating to the goal that they're working on, it could really help them to stay the course. And being mindful of those values really helps participants to stay connected to the meaning that they're giving to what they're working on with you. And that is so powerful when it's those values and the connection to those values, and that you are really facilitating this space that allows that to happen. Because you all know nobody wants to live out a values conflict. So the more participants are aware that they can protect what matters most to them by simply acting to avoid a values conflict, that's going to result in behavioral change. And that's really what we want through coaching. We want people to change for the better, and not for the sake of us as being their coach, but we want them to change because they want to change, because it's important to them. It's meaningful for them. It is basically honoring who they are and what they want out of life. And so I know that there are times through conversations that maybe values are not quite evident, because, sometimes it takes a minute for participants to warm up or to really feel that they can really share openly. And so I want to offer you a tool that you could use in your conversation that will help to uncover some values if they're not coming out during the normal course of your discussion. And so I call this the What's Important About That tool. Now, it's not a form, it's not a document, it's just a way of asking questions that's designed to actually bring forth a value without specifically asking them what their value is. And so when a participant makes a comment or a statement, you're going to follow up with a powerful question. And that question is, what's important about that to you? And when they answer that question, you're going to ask the same question again, but you're going to use the answer that they just gave. And so when they answer it the second time, you're going to basically take that last answer they gave you from the second question, and then you're going to come back with another powerful question, and you're going to ask, so what would it mean to you if that thing that they just answered with is a reality in your life? And so notice that level of questioning. This is a very, very in-depth drill down that in most cases is going to result in a value emerging from the discussion, because these questions are very reflective. It's going to cause them to think about what they're saying, think about what it means to them, because you're asking them very specifically and very directly. Now, I want to say this. When you're engaged in that type of a discussion, please resist the temptation to jump in. Okay, sometimes we sometimes we have a tendency of maybe jumping in before they're finished. Let them finish their thought. Okay, so try to withhold any additional questions or comments when there are times when there are spaces of silence. All right, allow the silence to happen. They're processing. All right, so let them explore their thoughts and their feelings, and do your best to keep that space really there for them. Now, also, I got to say this: avoid personal bias. Sometimes when we're listening to participants during a conversation, we're evaluating and analyzing what they're saying as they're saying it. And so what I'm suggesting here, what we do is that you try not to do that, but just let them just kind of go. Let them just express. Let them take the time that they need. Let them say what they want to say, and listen to their tone. Listen to how they're saying things, and you're going to hear energy, you're going to hear elation, but there are some times where you might hear a little bit of, a lower level of energy, or maybe something that's sad to them. And then you're also going to listen for ideas and not just the words. So that you really capture the essence of what they're saying. And so that's what's important about that tool does. It allows you to really, really allow this process to unfold, and you really get to uncover some values. Now, I'm going to give you an example here of what that might sound like in a particular coaching conversation. So I'm going to kind of role play by myself here, a participant and a coach. And so listen to how this conversation might go. And so the participant says, I want better housing. Coach, what's important about that to you? Participant, so we can feel more comfortable and have more space for my children. Coach, well, what's important about feeling more comfortable and having more space for your children? Participant, right now our place is so small, and feeling more comfortable and having more space will allow us to spend more quality time together, such as when we're doing homework. We don't always have to leave our home and go to another place or the library just to spread out. Coach, what would it mean to you if having more quality time together became a reality in your life? Participant, it would feel so good to have more family time together, and everyone will feel connected to each other. End of role play. So you see how that just unfolded, where during the conversation, it really was about this discussion about these things and driving down deeper and deeper. And the values that came out during that was comfort, family, quality time, and connection. Those things came out really during the conversation. And so it was very intentional, starting with the first question about what's important about that to you. And then it kind of drills down to these other things. And so I want you to think about how much deeper a connection you'll have with participants when your values informed. And also, how much more fulfilling would it be for participants to intentionally honor their values as they progress through your program? And so that's what all of this means. So listening for values and just really taking the time to give them that space to allow that to come forth, and then to really have a scenario where they're allowed to just express themselves, what it means to them, how it feels, and then you are really repeating and reflecting back those values that you heard. And so I'm going to leave you with a call to action as we wrap up. And here it is. I want to say, when coaching, do more to move out of your world and into the world of your participants' reality. And I'll say that again. Your call to action is, when coaching, do more to move out of your world and into the world of the participants' reality. And that's where you're going to find their values. All right, so this is why this is important, okay? So we can get to these places, get to these deeper conversations, and really honor those values that are coming forth and help support what's meaningful for them and what's important to them. All right, so that's it for today. I want to thank you for watching. And, this is just an amazing thing. And I would love for you to join us next month for additional coaching resources, and be sure to stick around for the Q&A portions. Now, if you have any questions about any of our other programs, then here's what you can do. You can actually go to the website, to www.theprosperityagenda.org, and you can actually get more information about our coaching trainings, and you can even sign up for more of our Coaching Up Close mini webinars. So thank you so much. Again, my name is Devin Stubblefield. I appreciate you tuning in, and we look to see you next time.